Welcome back to another Fashwave art stream. That's the music choice we've got anyway for right now. Just kind of doing my thing. I see I've got a couple people hanging. If you want to say hi, that would be groovy. So I'm in the first issue of Militia Man. And here's our guy, Militia Man. He and MAGA Force have infiltrated the cult's warehouse where they're amassing weapons, and they're here to take him in. But suddenly, out of nowhere, they stop fighting, and they start doing this weird kind of cult-like prayer. And Militia Man and MAGA Force are kind of shocked. They're like, "What the heck is, what's this? What's going on?" And what's actually happening is that this character here and here is using a kind of mind control device to talk through them to MAGA Force. When the book's finally done, you'll be able to read all that and see all that stuff. So there you go. But I'm just kind of giving you a little context to what's happening here. I find that drawing small is always one of the hardest parts of doing comics. You have to say more with less. But it's just hard to do. You have to kind of understate everything, but yet somehow keep the anatomy correct and make it understandable from a distance. Now, when you're reading a comic, though, you really only look at this for a matter of seconds, and then you're reading, and there's a pace to the story. So you're not gonna like spend 10 minutes looking at this guy. It's there as part of the story, but it might take me 10 minutes to draw all that. So yeah. I had an interesting idea earlier today. I reached out to one of the AI artists in the White Art Collective. Guy by the name of Wave Guy. And I actually did a show on his work not long ago. You can look up Wave Guy on my YouTube channel and you can see he's I'd say a big guy in our sphere as far as like digital art goes. And I had the idea. I said, "Hey man, could you create like AI art in panels, and then I would describe the panels to you, you create them, and then I'll reassemble them in Photoshop and put text on, and we'll make a comic book together." So, as good as an idea as that is, he was explaining that AI isn't really that sophisticated yet. And, kind of narrative stories where, like if I said a crowd of 20-somethings in a warehouse wearing masks, making a triangle shape over their forehead, like that. What would AI do? It would give you something. But the thing is, like, the fingers would all be melded together, and the faces would be warped, and it's just kind of sort of not there yet. But I feel like, how cool would that be if we could get that going, Maybe in the future. So say hi. Let me know who's here. Let's see if we got any. I don't see anything, any kind of chat going on quite yet. Oh, and there's the usual commercials that I will quickly get rid of if I can hit the skip ads button. What I usually look for are those. Well, honestly, what I do is I'll listen to like a full album, but YouTube has their sort of copyright thingies, and it's always a pain. Oh, maybe you can find some full albums. So happy Saturday. We'll be going out a bit later. All work and no play makes Donald a dull boy. So we'll have some fun. Of course, drawing comics is fun, but there are tedious times, like right now. But, the thing that motivates you through this is the mission of the story. You know, what it is that you're trying to say or accomplish through the medium. So I think, I don't know, anyone who's an author, of course, they have like a belief in their story, you know, and I don't know if belief is the word, but there's something, a conviction of some kind that you would have towards what it is you're trying to do. And I would say very much that you're trying to share a feeling or experience, perspective with the audience. And there's a certain type of connection that you get through the arts, which can be very powerful. I've been thinking about how tedious film is, actually. You have to set up shots, you have to rehearse them. The teams of people that are required to do this is crazy. The money, the time, the effort, you know, just to build a set or just to build costumes. Crazy stuff. So on that topic, actually, one of my clients, he is going to be hiring me to do storyboard art for a Netflix pitch. I did mention this on some other shows. There was that writer's strike, which kind of put the kibosh on that. And the writer's strike's over. So that'll be happening at some point, but there's still some kind of obstacles. I don't know exactly what, because I'm not a Netflix producer. I wouldn't know that. I'm not sure I can do this like stopping every 2 minutes. So I'm gonna go put something on here. Hey, my channel's here. Good to have you here, bruh. Maybe this to look at for a second while I go change the music. live synthwave radio coming up here. So probably going to be a commercial at the top of it. No, no. Lucky me. Oh my God. All right. Hey, Imperial Crusader 21. We couldn't have a show without you, my man. Thanks for joining. How's it going? So, a couple announcements. I'll probably announce these things again later in the show. But, boy, oh boy, I got a lot of cool stuff coming up, coming down the pipeline. I am going to be on Discordant Dragons on Monday, 6 p.m. at Yiz's channel. I'm actually doing 3 shows on Monday. Yes, you heard that right. 3 shows. So, one of the shows is at, 1 o'clock. There's a 6 o'clock show with Yiz on her channel. And then a 9 o'clock show where I will be having the admins of the new White Art Collective group on to talk about it's called the White Art Collective Monthly Challenge. I have touched on that. I've had some artists on from that group. They're all new. I think we have, oh God, I don't remember the number, but like probably going on like 200 new artists and creators that I could be over. It's somewhere between 150 and 200. So even though we're not kind of back in the day where we were doing those regular What Art Collective shows throughout the week, the I don't know how to say it, like the stock of artists or that community is still quite large and growing. So it's time for me to get back on the ball and give these guys a platform. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and all things will come clear in time. So be patient and definitely stay on top of what I'm doing. Now, here's the screwy thing about this is that I know that this, like a ½ inch down the edge of the paper, is going to get cut off when I do the printing, when it goes to print. So anything I draw in there is like almost not worth drawing, but you have to make a full bleed. And that's just part of the kind of the publishing world. What do we got here? I'm good. How are you doing? Well, how am I doing? Okay. You know, I can't complain. I can't complain. I've got a couple nice things happening. The money is fine. The health is getting better. The art projects are doing good. Got some new business coming down the pipeline. So, and I'm getting back into shows, preparing shows. I reached out to Josh Neal to come on. I was supposed to get in touch with him in August. Whatever, life happens, yada yada. So just reached out to him again today. On October 10th, I have a guy by the name of White Student T, he's coming on. He's just put out a book on the way the anti-white system works in education. I just downloaded the PDF, or rather the ebook on Amazon. And he's been a fan of mine for a long time. I actually illustrated the cover of that book. I wasn't able to do all of the illustrations in the book, but it's a very highly researched and well laid out book on the evidence of how anti-white policy works in the education world. It might actually be good to get Brent Danger in on that. Maybe we can do a follow up show with him. Um, the thing is, it's like people in our sphere, we all know that stuff already. It's not like it's anything new. But when someone puts a book out of that caliber, that's definitely worth promoting, and it's something that we should get out there. I mean, the ebook is like $5-6 or something. It's not a big whoop. Um, and it's a very good book. So, there's a lot of people who are in education, people who have kids, homeschooling. I don't know. It's just an important book in the terms of like who we are, what we're doing. So I'll be having him on. I have an idea about a really cool art stream, like art and nerd stream. I get some guys that are out there, sort of, somewhat well-known influencers in our movement, and put them together in one place on my show to talk about culture. So it doesn't specifically have to be about art, but these two guys I have in mind are artists, so that makes some sense. I just got a friend request from someone on Instagram that I interviewed a while ago, and I was like so happy to sort of find him again. And he's a comic book artist. His style, though, is more like Ghost World. I forgot the guy's first name. Coles is his last name. Cowles. Art School Confidential. If you got, he has like this kind of indie comic style that is sort of, it's well known. Like most people would recognize it. It's just one of those things that's in the pop culture. So seeing what's going on with him. What else? Of course, there'll be more of these streams. More at night, though. More in the evening. Where's my ruler? Okay. So it's nice to see that my schedule is filling up, with people for shows. I'm not like a sort of a normal kind of grifter guy that like, every X time on X day I will do that show. I wouldn't mind doing that if it served a purpose or something, and I had a way to integrate that into my plans. Perhaps maybe in the future I will, But yeah, it's like, me. There's like so many things I want to do, and then there's the like, well, where are you gonna find the time to do it? So we'll get there. I only have the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Jelly bean? That was a long answer. How are you doing? I think you already said good. So, whoa! Look who's here. Holy cow. It's a party. Bear Singe Torix. Awesome. I love your funny little icons there. That's cool. Fun stuff. What is Josh Neal up to these days? He's doing a show or just surviving off his book residuals and playing music at his local jazz club. That was a good call. I don't actually know. I know that, he hasn't really been active. He did a couple more of those kind of like philosophy book shows. He's, pretty clued in with that. The funny thing is he says like, oh, I like being on your show, Don, because I don't have to read a book to prepare for the show, You know, like, okay, today we're going to be looking at Immanuel Kant and that, you know, or we're going to read the Communist Manifesto or some shit. You know. Anyway, yeah, it'll be good, you know, to get back in touch. His what's funny is his new avatar on Twitter is super funny. He took like his old one and then like took the head. There's a photo of Laura Loomer with some kid at like a Trump rally or something, and it's a pretty hideous photo of Laura Loomer, and she's, you know, and the kid is wearing like a MAGA hat and like, yay, you know, that kind of thing. And he put his head on the kid's body, so like it's just funny, like, you know, if you know, you guys know what's going on, so you know what I'm saying. But so what's your take on Laura Loomer? Is she one of the good ones or controlled opposition? What are your thoughts? A tricky question. A whole lot of infiltration going on. Oh, man, have you had enough of Ben Shapiro these days? Holy shit. He is in full squeal mode right now, full weasel mode. I think, you know, from my estimation and from other people in our movement, we seem to agree that the Overton window is moving, and that, you know, there was a time when people finally figured out like 9/11, and then there was a time when people finally figured out COVID, and now is the time when people are finally figuring out the juice. So don't fall behind. So, I mean, the good news for me, anyway, from my perspective, is that I feel like I can take my hands off the wheel a bit, because I've been very hardcore out there for a long time, you know, naming them. And I'm really at a place now where I feel like, you know what, it's taken a life of its own, and I can kind of relax a bit. I can focus on things I want to focus on a bit more. Um, which is pretty freaking awesome, you know. But what am I saying? Like, sometimes people ask or they wonder, like, what's the point of being involved in information warfare? And that's a legitimate question. If one is not on the battlefield, or, you know, it's, you know, on social media, then I suppose it would be harder to see that point. Not everybody's cut out for it, and it's certainly a very toxic environment. You know, it's a tough thing to do. So fair enough. But it's really it's all about information. It's all about belief. It's all about the truth. I mean, why else would they be so hell bent on censorship if speaking the truth was not so powerful? Yeah, it's not brain surgery, guys, you know? So getting out there and taking chances and putting yourself in the line of fire, so to speak, by speaking the truth is it's how the battle is being won. So the question might be, well, Really? Like, has that actually changed anything? Is there, have the people taken the power, or has it dismantled Jewish hegemony? Da, 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 da. It will. It is to an extent that people's minds are free and they don't have to buy into the system of slavery that we're in. And in time, these same people will, you know, come back to their culture, organize, uh, change. And like, there's a certain level of opting out of society to the extent that, you can choose what you buy, you can choose what you watch, you can choose what you teach your children, you can choose, I don't want to say what you believe, but the sense of like, once you know the truth about history and you realize you've been lied to, then you're not going to believe it anymore. You're not going to fall for it. And suddenly all these other things come into view. Everything else kind of starts to make sense. I think you get the idea. So there you go. I think there's a lot of people that could talk on that topic pretty well. There's a phrase, there's a meme that is going around. It's like, what is it? How does it go? Something like, if the memes didn't work, they wouldn't be trying to censor them or something, shut them down, something like that. So, but there is still the question of like, how does one really kind of take control of their life while the system itself is just a giant slave plantation, how much can you opt out, so that kind of remains to be seen, I think. Some people doing more than others. Something I've been very interested in is sovereign citizenship. A lot of people are kind of warning against it and saying like, it's fishy, don't, dangerous, don't go down that road, da da da. And yet, these are people that haven't actually looked into it. So I'm like, all right, well, I get it. I know your first impression, but how about actually reading the fucking link I sent you? So anyway, let's look at the chat. We got a lot going on here. So, Josh Neal, oh man, I just remembered Frank Cho. So many great artists when I was a kid. Jay Lee, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, Sam Keith. Who was your fave? Don't say McFarlane. That's funny because I don't like McFarlane's art. I'm going to turn the music down a hair because I feel like I'm yelling. Keeping hydrated. Okay. So first off, Jay Lee, Jae, that's the spelling of his name. I love that guy. Another Korean artist that came out, I guess, in the 90s, I think. Very weird, dark, kind of flat graphic look, very gothic almost, like sort of, there's always something kind of spooky about his work. It's not, you couldn't compare it to, say, Hellboy, which has that same flat, dark graphic quality to it. But I just always thought this is a unique guy. He's got a really unique take on comics and art, etc. Can't stand Rob. I'm not saying I don't like Liefeld as a person, but his art is just like, It's like the equivalent of scratching a chalkboard, but for my eyes. I would say that. I can't. I don't really know who Sam Keith is. If I saw the art, I'd be like, oh yeah, Sam Keith. McFarlane is just, it's just someone who is just trying too hard, in my opinion. Again, not saying anything about him as a person. I don't know the guy. Who's my favorite of that era? Damn, dude. You guys ask the hardest questions. How the hell am I supposed to do this show with all these hard questions? If I would, let's say if I were digging in my comic book collection right now, I'd be like, oh, this dude, that dude. I don't know. If you throw a few names at me, I can comment, but like, I'm kind of drawing a blank at the moment. So, I'm not so much on the Jim Lee bandwagon. I don't dislike him. He's clearly excellent. Hush Batman, Jim Lee is, to me, like, that needs to go in a history museum. That is epic, epic level Batman stuff. And I like when he does watercolors, because he's already like super graphic in his style. That it's nice to see something loose, and it's kind of beautiful in its way. I would actually say Jim Lee seems like a super guy too, just from the interviews I've seen with him. There's a really neat documentary on Image Comics, which I suppose it was the early 2000s. These guys were all like the darlings of Marvel Comics, and they saved the comics industry pretty much. A bunch of young guys. I think most of them were maybe from California. I don't remember. And somebody had the idea, probably Rob Liefeld, like Jim Silvestri, these guys, to like, hey, we're kind of on the comics plantation. We don't get royalties, we get a page rate. Meanwhile, Marvel's making millions of dollars from sales from off our backs. Why don't we split and start our own comics company? Whoo! the the board at Marvel was not too pleased at that. So like there were threats, and they went and did it. They created Image Comics, which is still kicking it real strong. Maybe I should take this to Image Comics and see what they have to say. Anyway, there's a lot more in the chat I need to address here. Let's see what we got. Arthur Powell, welcome, Arthur. Good to have you here. If we had one single white talking head as passionate as Ben, we'd be lucky. Damn. Well, here's the thing. I do agree, and I think we have some, but we're just, we're all shadow banned. We're all evil. Da da da. I'm really digging Joel Davis. I think Joel Davis is doing some great stuff. He's picking it up. Who's our tall guy in Ireland? Keith Woods. Highly intelligent guy, can hold his own really well. He's very kind of has a nice professional quality about him. Anyway, moving on. Bear says, if the situation were hopeless, the propaganda would be unnecessary. Thank you. See, you guys, how can I do this show without you? What would I do without you? See, because I'll tell you what, when I'm focusing here, my mind is like half cocked. I'm like, how do I, it's tough to draw and talk heavy sometimes. But anyway, remember the Max Image Comics? Yeah, of course. Oh, okay. Sam Keith did the Max. Okay. That was sort of like the Tick in a way. It was just sort of this fun-ish, goofy, superhero-y, fun comic. Okay. Hey, Nightmare is here. That sounded weird. Hey, Nightmare is here. Welcome to the party. Let's see. Bear says, the very first comic I ever got was X-Men #1 by Jim Lee. Ooh, I hope you still have that. Let's see, what else? Jim Lee. It kind of changed my life trajectory. Wow, heavy. That sounds like an interesting story. That'd be neat to hear more of. Nightmare says, #1 subscriber. Okay, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Remember to hit the notification button. I do these often, or I will be doing these often, but I don't have an exact time slot yet. So Varda Bach is here. Aurora, or I think it's Aurora Press. Brendan had a good guest on yesterday regarding comic artists and independent sales. I'm gonna have to find that. I need to see that. I'd really, really like to see that. Maybe I'll reach out to them. Melody Dawn is here. Lovely to have you. Excellent, excellent. Good afternoon. Got my notification. Woohoo! See now, guys, take note here, okay? Melody Dawn hit the notification bell, so that's what you guys want to do. So, like I said, Monday I have 3 shows in one day. Holy cow! Am I a glutton for punishment? No, I love it. So I will be doing a show here at 1 in the afternoon Eastern time, featuring a Danish musician goes by the name of Hollandier. He's in the chat sometimes. His music is just very, very special, very unique. And I'm like, what's the word? Like when I should have had him on the show ages ago, and I just never did. So I feel like finally gonna rectify that. So that'll be cool. And then at 6 o'clock, I will be on Yiz. Yiz has a show called Discordant Dragons. If you guys are, any of you guys in the No White Guilt sphere, Yiz is I guess mostly known in that zone. Excuse me. And she is her own zone. Like she's her own content creator. She does quite a lot of cool stuff. Her morning walks, I think, are excellent. I would recommend tuning into those. She's really, really committed to white positivity, and that's good. That's key stuff. That's good stuff. Highly intelligent lady. Good friend. We've known each other for a bit. I mean, not IRL, but we communicate. Always supporting each other. So I'm gonna be on her show. For me, it's something new. It's kind of like I don't know if I would call it a game show, but it's sort of like a fun pop culture nerd show, I guess. So it should be fun. And then at 9 o'clock, back here on my channel, I will be featuring the admins of the new monthly White Art Collective group. And so that is kind of like White Art Collective 2.0. I was speaking about that earlier in the show. I've had a couple people on so far, like musicians mostly, but need to feature more of those artists. So that's what's up. I hope I'm not talking too much. Are you getting sick of my voice? All right. Yeah, those who are your favorite artists questions are always like very hard to answer. So Melody says, great drawing, explains everything what's happening. Thank you. I'm going to zoom out a touch just to see kind of the whole page. So I was saying earlier in the show, this is the part where Militiaman and MAGA Force come in to stop the cult from amassing all these weapons. They're going to arrest them all. A big fight starts. But then they go into this weird kind of like prayer, and something's going to happen. So it's just sort of shows kind of how creepy they are. Imminent rain is here. What? Holy. Hail so hard, my man. Hail so hard. Great to have you here. Waxy inhales. One of my best buds in the White Art Collective in our sphere here, Imminent Rain. Go check out his channel, subscribe. Phenomenal musician, brilliant martial artist. This dude is tops, big time. So there you go, and now you know. All right, let's see what we're gonna do next here. I think I always kind of want to zoom in a bit so that you guys can get a better look at what's what and stuff. I think something I need to do right now, though, I had this idea of like telling stories of when I lived in Asia. I thought that could be kind of fun. some pretty crazy stories and pretty interesting. If you guys are up for that, I could segue into that, or if you have any particular questions, topics. Obviously, comics are always fun. Not everyone's into comics, so I don't want to alienate anyone. Um, this is just what I'm doing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? If Luke were on the show, Luke Mason, Imminent Rain, we would be nerding out on martial arts talk right now. Actually, here's an interesting tie-in. So I'm going to be on Yiz the Unifier's show on Monday, Discordant Dragons, and she's got a background in martial arts as well. So maybe the three of us should have like a nerd out show, you know? I don't know for sure what systems she's practiced. To my knowledge, it's some kind of Japanese karate. I just don't know. But she's spoken about it a few times in conversation. Got some real sweet, chill synthwave. I was actually thinking of putting on like some lo-fi. I really like lo-fi, but it does kind of get you sad a little bit. There's a little bit of a sort of a depression. It's you feel like you're stoned out or something. But it is relaxing, and especially if you're alone and you're focusing hard on like these kinds of projects that take a lot of concentration, then it is relaxing. It's very nice. So what do we got here? Imminent Rain is talking. I'm going to catch up here. Melody says, pointing up to the mind control. Absolutely lovely. I really appreciate your commentary, Melody. Imminent says, hey, bro, got to work on my book today. NaNoWriMo, I don't know what that is coming up. But I always enjoy your artwork and your perspective. Lots of love from North Idaho, and yes, martial arts nerdery is a real superpower. All right, let's do it. Good luck today, my bro. Do Glowfi. Glowfi? I've never even heard of Glowfi. See, how am I going to keep up with you, man? I hope you don't think I'm like some kind of like geezer or something. I got to stay on top of these trends. So I like washed out. Oh, okay, now I know. Okay, I never heard the term Glowfi, but washed out. I love washed out. I've been into them for years. There's a couple others. Comtrues. I know that's a weird name, but Comtrues is good. Anyway, I can't think. So Colin Bruder is here. Welcome from Germany. I gotta learn a couple German phrases for you, man. Guten Tag. I don't know, some cool thing. Let's see, Melody says, I have comics collections as well. I miss them, especially Dawn by Joseph Michael Linkard. I used that comic for my avatar. Sweet. Lots of respect from Northern Nevada. Cool beans. Been too busy to be online. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm so happy to have you guys here. It's a great little community that's growing here. Good day to you, sir. Okay, so maybe I'll tell some stories. All right. Gather round, kids. It's story time. I don't think I've told this story before. A little bit of a long story, but we're just, enjoying ourselves here on Saturday. I do have to go out tonight. I'm going dancing, so I can't go crazy. I don't even know what time it is right now. But anyway, so I'll just kind of go into the story. If you guys want to interrupt me or change the topic or you have questions, just go ahead. It's perfectly fine. So, I lived in Asia for 5 years, and one of the interesting stories I have of an adventure that I had was when I took a vacation with a Canadian friend to Thailand. So I lived in Taiwan, and that's mm, a whole other story. I think if you guys, you know, when Taiwan is was a part of China, Civil War, communists took over, blah 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 blah. It's a long story. But anyway, so Taiwan and Thailand are obviously different, and so yeah, we had a vacation, and my buddy was like, "Hey, man, let's travel somewhere in Asia. We're in Asia. Let's not just stay in Taiwan. Where do you want to go?" I'm like, "Shit, I don't know. I'm let's look at some options and prices." Da da da. It turned out okay. We're going to Thailand. I didn't know really anything at the time in my life. I was a bit younger. Yeah, a lot younger actually, and I just didn't know anything about Thailand other than it was a big vacation spot. So I didn't go there with any kind of preconceptions other than there's a lot of beautiful old temples. And that was my main attraction is I want to see all these. If you guys have ever heard of Angkor Wat, which is in Cambodia, which is right next to Thailand, then you would know what I'm talking about. Those were the temples I wanted to see. Ancient. So yeah, so okay, we go, and the first week we're just on the beach, you know, just drinking, you know, swimming, drinking, having a good time, just decompressing. That's all. And then the second week we're like, okay, let's get on the adventure. Let's get on the road. We're gonna go up north. We discovered this certain. Well, my friend was he's the one with the Lonely Planet book, and he said, "Oh, you want to?" And here's one of those temples you want to see. It's like a 5-hour trip north from here. It's on the Cambodian border. I'm like, all right, let's do this. So we go to like a local bus station, and you can't even imagine how third worldy these places are. Very, very very third worldy. That's all I gotta say. And so we're like two white guys in this this small town bus station, and we don't speak Thai. We're just we got these huge backpacks on our backs, and we're kind of looking around. We got our book, and we're trying to figure out how do we get like a bus or a taxi or something up to this place. It looks like a tourist site. It must be easy to get there, right? And we see like a bunch of kind of poorish looking older dudes. They're kind of watching us, and they're talking, and one of them finally comes over and in like broken English says, you need taxi. I take you. You come. We go. And we showed him on the map the place, and it seemed to be understood that he was going to drive us there. And seemed like a nice guy. He's a bit older, big smile, broken like no teeth and stuff. That's kind of situation. But a sweet guy, and so like, all right, let's go. And turns out that a taxi is a pickup truck with a tarp over the top and a wooden plank to sit on in the back. And I'm like, shit, I'm riding in that for 5 hours into the jungle, all right, so like we're roughing it, guys. This is the real deal. I'm sorry, I need some reference from my other artwork here. And so we get on it, and off we go on the adventure. And there's something about putting yourself out there, just you and your wits against nature, pretty much, And you don't really know what's going to happen, but it feels exciting. And I think that is, people who travel and like to travel, that's kind of the high that they get off of it, So anyway, the landscape was just, you've seen photos, like that. It's exquisite. It's like enchanting and beautiful, and you feel like you're in some kind of travel channel show, you know. Really, really enjoyable. And I'm with my buddy, and it's just overall a really cool time. So, regardless of the fact that the travel accommodations were pretty rough. But anyway, so at some point we drive up to like a military checkpoint. And there's all these, you know, military guys with AK-47s, and they're kind of bustling about, and, you know, we pull up to the checkpoint, and they come over, and my buddy and I were like, fuck, what's going on? What's this, you know? Um, so we kind of nervously just sort of, you know, here's our passports, you know, whatever, just smiling, we'll cooperate, whatever. And they, you know, they kind of, these guys, they look tough, they give us dirty looks and something, and then, you know, check our passports, and okay, you can go, that kind of thing. Nobody speaks English, by the way. I'm just telling the story. I'm going to check the chat real quick to see if I'm talking to myself here. I've seen this movie already, The Beach. Yes, I'm actually Leonardo DiCaprio putting on a fake voice. That's actually who I am. Z-Wagger, whose name is here. Love this man. What man? Who are you talking about? Melody says, hello, Eminent Rain. Hollandier is here. Welcome. Well met, talented man. All right. So I'll carry on with my story. So we get through that, and we're like, whoa, that was crazy. Oh my God. And, you know, more beautiful landscape and just chilling and stuff. And we come to another one of these checkpoints, only this time they're not quite as formally dressed. You know, they still have the AK-47s, and it's still what it is. It's still like, oh shit, okay, something's up. Just be cool. You know, we're tourists. We smile. You know, say the little sweaty cop, whatever, and they let us go. Long story short, that happens one more time, but this time they're in like wife beater shirts and shorts with flip flops, but carrying AK-47s, you know, and you know these. So my friend is like looking in his book, and I'm like, well, anyway, long story short, he basically says, oh, we're in the Golden Triangle now. And I'm like, what the fuck is the Golden Triangle? Yeah, it is the center of heroin trade in the world. Oh my God, what have I gotten into? Why? Oh shit. You know, and this, I should give a little profile of this Canadian friend. He's a sweet guy, but slightly dippy, you know what I'm saying? Slightly on the dippy side, and you know doesn't sort of see the seriousness of this. And I'm like, oh shit, you know, like we could get killed out here. You know, we're two white guys with backpacks. Of course, they know that we have money on us. They just kill us and throw us in a ditch and take all our belongings. Fuck, you know, so now it's the whole other world, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just have to chill here. I'm gonna just sort of enjoy myself. I'm gonna take this moment by moment, not gonna flip out or anything. I'm just zenning out, my man, you know, I'm just gonna zen out, you know. And I continue to enjoy the trip. We finally get to the location. And we arrive, and I'm so happy. Like, oh, my butt hurts from sitting on that plank for 5 hours, and we're way in there. Like at this point, all you see like are these small villages, and you know, there's like, you know, oxen and goats and chickens just kind of walking around. It's kind of more arid up in that part, but no civilization. Like, you know, no telephones. Any kind of electricity is only sort of like from like a generator, you know. So we're really out there now, and our taxi driver, he pulls up to the location. We get out. We pay him 500 baht. Baht is the dollar in Thailand. He drives off, and I'm like, what the fuck? How? Like where are you going? Like, how do you expect how do you expect us to get back? And and so my friend's like, oh, don't worry about it. There's probably hotels. Super dippy, not like. And I'm like, well, how do we know that? Like, we're in the middle of the jungle, and all I see is this ancient temple. What are you talking about? Hotels. So whatever. Like, I'm like, okay, chill out, relax, just be here now. So we walk up the little hill there to the entrance, and the most fascinating thing happens. This procession of monks come out of the temple door, and they're all in these beautiful saffron robes, and they make a circle around us. So my buddy's like, "What the hell's going on here? Like, what?" And they're pretty amazed, and they're talking because like you have to understand, like, the only time people in these regions see white people is on movies. So you're kind of a movie star. You're sort of an anomaly that's like quite amazing to them. And finally, one steps forward, and he's the one that speaks English. So we get to talking. I ended up becoming pen pals with him. That was years ago. I'm not in touch anymore, but it was a nice, a cool relationship. At the time I was very deeply into Buddhism, so we certainly had a lot to talk about. So my buddy was like, okay, you guys do your Buddhism talk. I'm going to check out the temple. I'm going to take pictures and have fun, da da da. So, I ended up having, like, it's pretty amazing. It's just everything you would think. It was pretty amazing. And so the sun's kind of going down. And there's one part of the temple where there's this really, really long staircase going down and then off into the jungle on it's like a kind of a sidewalk, but it has all these beautiful, they're called nagas. They're basically snake sculptures. That's another story. And, I see the monks walking down and going off in there, and we wave to each other. This is kind of a beautiful memory. And so I'm thinking, well, if they're doing that, then there must be a temple nearby, right? That's because they're going back to their temple, right? So okay, and so the sun's going down, and my buddy and I are like, oh shit, how are we gonna get out of here? We gotta get out of here, and we didn't see any buses or anything. And I basically said, look, man, we're going to have to follow that path to the temple, and then we'll spend the night at the temple. And if there's a temple, there must be roads. There's got to be some kind of civilization. And he's like, well, I don't know. I don't know what his problem was with that. But it's getting dark, and we've got to get the hell out of the jungle, And then, very weirdly, out of really freaking nowhere, this man walks out of the jungle. And he says, oh, you need ride. I take you. You come, we go. 500 baht. And my friend's like, well, I don't know. It's kind of expensive. I grab him by the scuff of the neck. We're going. We're taking this. I'm not getting stuck in the jungle at night here. So I'm like, oh, phew, thank God. We're on our way out of here, Well, turns out the guy only has like a motor scooter. So there's, two foreigners and a old Thai man on a tiny little motor scooter. All right, I'm gonna quick check the chat here. The hero kid, the hero kind of looks like Homelander. Did I make the? I didn't see the. I didn't see the boys when I started this. And this character kind of becomes like Homelander later. Right, that's the whole point of the story. It's this story arc of a normie, Republican, conservative, Christian superhero who becomes far right through a series of events. So that is that's part of the whole story. Now you gotta buy the heroin or else. Yeah, exactly right. Melody says, "Oh crap." Yeah. So anyway, so the old dude is riding, in the front. My buddy's squished in the middle. If you've ever seen like photos of families on a motor scooter in Asia or anything, and then I'm on the back, and I'm carrying both his and my backpack, plus like another little bag, and I'm hanging onto his waist, and like my butt's kind of hanging off the edge of the scooter, and I'm hanging on for dear life. I mean, you can try to imagine physically it was challenging to be that guy, excuse me. And but I was so happy to get out of there. It was like, yeah, this is crazy. And like, we're driving down a kind of a dirt road at night. There's no like street lights or anything. It's just the light from the headlight of his motor scooter, and there's bugs flying in your face. And we did that for like 45 minutes. So 45 minutes of that was pretty exhausting, but like I said, I was like, I am so glad to get out of here. And then instead of arriving at like, a hotel or civilization or what have you, he took us to his little village. And the village did have a road. It's like, oh, that's nice, and I mean, it was like a paved road. So you're like, okay, that's closer to civilization. We got a paved road. Nice, nice. Um, and there's a bus stop across the street. So we're like, okay, cool. We'll just wait at the bus stop. It's gonna be okay. You know what I mean? Uh, Not quite yet out of the woods there, buddy. So what happens is we're waiting, and there's our guy who drove us. He got his 500 baht, and he went over to sort of like a little roadside restaurant and ordered himself some food. Oh, I forgot there's a whole other section of the story where when we were on our way, we were getting really hungry and we wanted some food. We kind of motioned to the guy driving, like pull over, and we use like the cup and the chopsticks, like we want to eat, like, and oh, okay, I take you, you come, we go. And he pulls into this little village, has a outdoor market. All of the food are bugs, every kind of different insect that you could imagine, fried up, and little spices on them. And I took pictures of all them, but I didn't eat any. I was like, okay, I'm not eating today. All right, gotcha. Yeah. So our driver bought himself a nice bag of crickets, got himself a huge beer, like a big ass 40 boat kind of thing. So like, all right, so great. You're drinking and driving while we're heading into no man's land in the Golden Triangle. And I think later down the road, I had told this story, and people were like, "Oh, people, the Thai people probably thought you were there to buy drugs." And I'm like, I'm like Buddhist, or at the time, and kind of still am, but like I'm not here to buy drugs, So I think maybe they thought like these guys have tons of money or tons of drugs on them. Anyway, the point I'm getting to is, so we're waiting at the bus stop, and there's, kind of a group of like 12 of these villager guys, and they're having a really heated conversation. And they would like kind of yell at each other, and then they'd stop and turn and look at us. And then they would yell at each other and rah, 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 and then they'd stop and they'd all look at us. And I pointed this out to my friend. I was like, dude, take a look over there. Something's going on. And we both pretty much determined, like, oh fuck, they're plotting something. They're plotting something. And I'm like, oh shit, this is it. This is really it. So here I'm like, okay, I've done kung fu for so many years. This is gonna be the one. Like everything that I've learned for all these years, I'm finally gonna have to use it. And this is a fight to the death. And I got 12 guys in this little village in the middle of fucking nowhere. And hopefully that bus comes, because I'm probably not. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? With those odds. And my Canadian friend, he's just total, yeah, complete pushover. That he never ever would have survived that. So I'm mentally getting myself into that space of like, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? I'm really, really like, this is it. This is it. And I'm kind of like peacocking. I'm looking at them very, very fiercely. And I'm walking in such a manner as to show like I'm not fucking afraid of you. And the other thing too is these villager people, they're really small. They don't have like a very good nutrition, and they're Asian, and they're almost half as big as me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a small guy. I'm not gonna tell you how tall or big I am, but I'm definitely a biggish guy. And so you could see that there was that hesitation of like, well, okay, if we all rush him, then we'll take him down. But like nobody wanted to be the guy that got hurt, and especially since like I could read the situation, and I was kind of emoting back to them like, you just fucking go at me and I will fucking kill you. So it was getting ugly, and then these guys crossed the road, and they were kind of standing next to us. Not right next to us, they were probably about 10 feet away, and they just kept kind of yelling and arguing with each other. And you could sort of see there was kind of like a ringleader type guy who really, like, I don't know if anyone's ever looked at you with a certain look in their eyes that's like, I want to kill you. He had that kind of, if looks could kill type expression on his face. Whew. So like I knew that's the guy you got to take out, for starters, right? He's sort of the ringleader, and he's kind of leading everyone else into this. And then the bus comes. Whew, awesome, excellent, whew, excellent. Oh my God, we just dodged a bullet here. We're gonna get out of here. This is great, So the bus pulls up in front of us, opens the door, and then the ringleader runs in, pushes me aside, and yells at the bus driver in Thai. I don't know what he said. And then the bus driver slams the door and peels out and drives off. Whoa. Oh boy. Oh shit. It's like, so should I stop the story now and then maybe tell it later, or immediately go for the lead? Yes, that's a good point. So the drama just hit the peak at that point. You were like, it's fucking on. It's just fucking on. My Canadian friend was like, oh shit, oh no, what the fuck? He was whatever, being a liberal. And anyway, I took my backpack off, and I'm like, okay, let's just fucking get to it, and I'm like pacing like a tiger, and I'm kind of huffing and just peacocking, and so they kind of went back, because at this point it's very, very clear what's going on. Like there's no denying it. Everybody knows what's going on. And nobody wanted to, approach the white gorilla. Like, you go first. No, you go first. I don't want to go first. You go first. No, I'm not going to go first. Like that kind of shit. And amazingly, thank God, another bus pulls up. So my buddy and I, we muscle our way on. We grab our bags and just like kind of push through this crowd, get on there. And the leader yelled at at the bus driver, who then yelled back at him. It's basically like "fuck off," or something like that. Who knows what they said? Um, and then he slammed the door on him and took off. And like, I cannot describe to you the sense of relief. My buddy and I, we kind of went, grabbed a seat, crashed, and we were like, "Holy shit! I can't believe this just happened." Um, we drove for, I don't know, an hour or something, got to some city, and then we're like, the first city we get to, we're just gonna get a hotel. And we check in, we go down to the bar or whatever, and grab a beer, and that was the biggest like cheers that I ever had in my life. Like, whew, we made it, man! Cheers! Like, and boy, did we laugh! Like, I mean, you laugh. All that tension was just built up, and then it came out in our laughter. Like, wow, this would be a great story. So now you guys know the story. A part of the Donald Kent lore. So you know a little bit. Not all. I mean, that's probably the most sort of, I guess, exciting story that I have as far as that kind of thing goes. There's lots of like more lovely kind of stories of like just wonderful experiences and great people. Um, Overall, it was like a very positive experience. But you're always an alien though, and I was at one point I was like, I'm really tired of not being able to read the signs or listen to TV, or I don't. I have proficient Chinese. I can get around, but I'm sick of being an alien. I want to go home. You know what I mean? And I don't plan on spending my life here. Like I never did. So I came back. The funny thing I think about coming back is that so Taiwan is on the same latitude as Puerto Rico. It's fairly close to the equator. It's hot as hell. Um, and you get acclimated to that weather. And I'm totally not a hot weather guy, I don't like it at all, actually, but somehow I got acclimated to it. And when I came back, it happened to be like a hot summer where I live that year. And I remember everybody complaining, like, "Oh, it's so hot and humid and blah, blah." And I was like, so refreshing. That's so lovely, this is really enjoyable weather. So there's a funny story. Let's see what else is going on. We got 9 people here right now. It's pretty cool. Keep going. Story is fantastic. What else we got? Immediately go for the stop now and give us all the blue balls. Okay, that's one way to put it. No, I would never do that to you guys. I would never do that. So what else? Other stories? Trying to think of. I was in an earthquake. I was in a 7.1 earthquake. It was horrible. Not a cheerful story, pretty amazing though. I think maybe my kung fu stories could be maybe interesting. When I went through the what's it called, YMCA. The YMCA has this thing called the Overseas Corps, and it's essentially, it's the YMCA's English program, and they've got like offices all over the world. So if you're interested in whatever country you go through their English training program, and bingo, they got like the schools and housing, and you're all set. It's nice. It's actually a really nice way if you ever plan on going to a foreign country where you don't speak the language, you want to blah blah blah. So and the way it worked is I was actually like the last guy to apply for the program, and as such, I got the last choice of city. There's like so many cities in Taiwan. Taiwan's not very big, maybe the size of New Jersey or something. And so, like, whoever is first come, first serve. And I basically got stuck in a place called Jiayi. Jiayi. I will always have lovely memories of Jiayi. Now, Jiayi is in south central Taiwan. I'm trying to think of like what would be an American equivalent to Jiayi. Probably try to imagine like, I don't know, like Oklahoma or something like that. Like a place that's not like a hipster cool place that's it's kind of hot and it's out of the way. You know what I mean? But like, and I'm not knocking Oklahoma. I'm not trying to like be a jerk or something. But it's not Taipei. Taipei is like the New York City of Taiwan. I did move to Taipei, and I lived there for 2 years. I had massive fun, like cray cray fun. I actually hooked up with Irish expats there, and they were like my crew. So it was kind of neat. There were a ton of like English, Irish, Australian people. You know, Taiwan being in Asia, Australia, you can see, Australians are kind of interesting in that regard. But I had like a really neat crew of like South Africans, New Zealand, England, Ireland, and we would hook up and go to dance clubs and just had great times together. And all of us are like, doing the English teacher thing and just enjoying traveling in Asia and all that. Just, it's kind of like a young guy adventure club, kind of. But I would say, like, the whole connection to all of these, all of these Westerners was really, really wicked. It was like, it was almost like more interesting than Asia in its sense, because it's like try to imagine you're in Asia. Like, okay, so straight away you're the alien, you're the minority. But and so what's going to happen is like just by default, any other white guy is just immediately like your buddy. And that's obviously not totally true. There's just because someone's white doesn't mean they're not a jerk or something. But if they're there teaching English, generally they're pretty cool people in some way. And there was one night when we were out in Tainan. I think it was Tainan is like a nice. If I ever lived in Taiwan again, I would want to live in Tainan. I really enjoyed it a lot. Anyway, we're having a good old time, doing our thing, partying, whatever. And there's the guy who's from South Africa. I can't tell you exactly the conversation, but it was something about like us being Westerners, Europeans, white people, and I forget what the question was, but this South African guy, he said to us as a group, and sincerely, he said, you're not very good colonists. And I'll never forget that. I will never forget. There was something that just went through me that was like, wow, America, New Zealand, Australia, wow, like it just, South Africa, like, we're the satellite countries from Europe. And it suddenly gave me a glimpse of like who I am, you know what I mean? In a really cool, sort of beautiful context. So anyway, Bear says, I just realized you are not Noticer on Twitter and we are already following each other. Keck. Yeah, I'm kind of mysterious that way. That's what it is. But what's your Twitter handle, Bear? Or just, shoot me a message on Twitter or something. So, there you go. Oh yeah, so the martial arts stuff. Okay. So like I said, I wouldn't say it was like, oh, I got screwed, I had to live in Jiayi. It wasn't at all like that. Jiayi, I wanted to live in the kind of the countryside. I didn't go there. I lived in New York City before I moved there. And I culture shock, talking about culture shock, holy cow, living in New York City and then the countryside of Taiwan. Like, slam. That just like slammed me hard on the mat. So, um, but that's what I wanted. That's what I went for in a way, right? And so, they meet you at the airport and you know, actually, we all met in Seattle first. And then we did like 2 weeks of English teaching training stuff. And then we get to Taiwan. They took us to Fulong, this place called Fulong, which is it's like a beach community, uh, beautiful vacation resort kind of area, volcanic rocks and just amazing. I just can't even describe like, oh, this is sweet. And you're kind of making friends with all the English teachers from different places, and we're getting some training. Now, I had already been teaching English in New York City, so it wasn't like I was straight out of the gate. And I had just taken a course. There's a kind of a Cambridge ESL course in New York City that I paid for. It's like a master's degree level ESL course. Da da da. And so, making friends, having fun, big adventure, and then like, okay, we're gonna ship you off to your homestay families or your apartments in every different city. So they throw me on a bus. I take another, I don't know how many hours, 8 hour bus ride down into kind of nowhere. And I'm at Jiayi, and the Taiwanese representatives come out from YMCA, and then they're like, super happy to see me. Because you got to understand, like, these people, they're thinking you're leaving your family and your friends and your country to come way the hell out to nowhere to help us, to teach us English, so our children can have a better future. What can we do to make you happy and comfortable? And I mean, it's pretty nice. Like, they're very, very sweet, gracious, generous people. Now, they don't treat each other like that, but so anyway, that's a thing. So I get there and they're like, okay, we gotta get you a place to live. Now we have this homestay family that usually takes the foreign teachers in, um, and it happens to be that the father of this homestay family is a Tai Chi master. He's a Tai Chi teacher, and at the time I was like 28 years old or something. I'd been living in New York City. I'm like, I don't want to live in a homestay family where I have a curfew or some kind of obligation. I want to. I'm an adult. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. I love the fact that he's a Tai Chi teacher. That's awesome. But I want my freedom. And they showed me, okay, well, here's the apartment we've got picked out for you. Oh my God. Like, you wouldn't put a dog in this apartment. And I'm like, okay, I'm living with homestay family. So I did that. And they were great people. There were a couple difficulties with just getting acclimated, but anyway, so I'm like, wow, this is pretty wicked. I'm living with a Tai Chi master. What a cool stroke of karma here. I had just been studying at Shaolin Temple for 3 years, and my kung fu was like pretty high level at the time, and now I'm like, and I, of course, I wanted to do kung fu in Taiwan as well. But at the time in my life, I wasn't interested in Tai Chi though. I'm like, that's not really what I came here for. I just got out of Shaolin, like I'm ready to kick ass, and I didn't really know what Tai Chi was, to be honest. So, but I'm like, well, how can I say no? Like, I'm living with the guy. Let's just do this. So I would get up at like 5 in the morning. Not my best hour, not my peak hour, but whatever. I get up at 5 a.m., we, I'd get on the back of his motor scooter. We'd go to the park, meet up with his students, da da da, and we did Tai Chi. And it's called Yang style Tai Chi. There's different kind of styles, and wow, what a amazing benefit that was to me. He spoke like okay English. His English really wasn't great, but he was, and his son spoke English much better. And man, I got like quite into it. It was very, very beautiful. So let me check the chat real fast here. Story just realized. Da da da. Melody says, "Wish I could stay, my friend. That's a plumber is here to finish up the job." Da da da. Well, thank you for joining. You're probably gone right now, but thanks for joining. God bless. Dragon Mark is here. Dragon Mark 30. This artwork is awesome. Hey, dude, thank you so much. Since you said that, I'm going to do a little special look at my book. So, Imperium Calling. I always don't want to really like spoil it all, but like here's some comics that are in my book. So if you guys pick up my book, then you'll. It's not just comics in here. There's there's some other comics that I have, original works. This is something I did with. It's not the full comic, but this is something I did with John Della Rose in Comicsgate. This comic was written by Kai Moros. If you're in our movement, you should know who Kai Moros is. And these are just some illustration pieces. There's some fine artwork in here. And then I have some poetry in the beginning that you guys can enjoy as well. Maybe I'll read this poem for you. Okay. Become who you are. This is the age of heroes. Who will step up to the plate? No time for bickering. The hour's getting late. Sojourn into the fog, obscuring our plight. Don't be afraid to stand up for what's right. Some of us know the enemy. Others deny the clues. If you choose not to fight, you choose to lose. The time for talk is over. We are the new Knights Templar. Reject the modern world. Become who you are. Democracy is dead when they can always rig it. Call out the enemy and they'll call you a bigot. But their words have no power here, not here in our hearts. We've abandoned their world, made a new start. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you think. I've gone a little crazy living too long on the brink. The time for talk is over. We are the new Knights Templar. Reject the modern world. Become who you are. Imperium is calling. The future is ours. Imperium is calling. The future is ours. Imperium Calling, the art and poetry of Donald Kent. Yeah. So there you go. Should I wrap it up? That was a good page. I'm going dancing tonight, King. I gotta get, gotta get ready. Dressed up a little bit, a little cologne. Woo! So I'm gonna have me some fun. I want to say thank you so much for you guys coming out. This is a good time. You must have a blast. Thank you, sir. Again, notification button, da da da. Please share this in your networks. Get some more people on board. This is a culture zone here. This is like, it's kind of like the break room, so to speak, of the movement. At least for now, until I start the revolution. But yeah, share this with your friends, bring them on board. A lot of new shows coming up. I'm kickstarting this up again because I just getting out of the shadows. So God bless you guys. I love you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and we will see you on the internets. Keep on rocking in the free world.